So this is quail. This is a button quail. See, you can Pioneer is a business where they're trying to get huge deals, 2% deal, raising lots of button quail, right? Raising lots of button quail for if it's prolific, it makes lots of eggs. You can have glue or soup or cartons of button quail eggs. You can eat them; they're edible. You make glue or soup broth. The pelts might be a nice fly fishing. So, if you Pioneers trying to market grain to feed the quail, they're a really good breeder. You have lots of quail, have fancy eggs in a box, right? Corn like egg whites. Here's Katrina's quail. They said this is a real money maker. They said you can serve the eggs as a gourmet food. It's like 6 ounces of meat from their quail. Pioneers trying to market quail. Pioneers trying to market ooh la la rich quail you can raise in your house, right? Feeding quail, you can keep breeding them and breeding them. You get inbred, but then by the time you have some money to go raise more quail, right? So it's Pioneers trying to market like quail, right? Have ooh la la rich quail you can raise in your house, right? So Pioneers say they have a 2% grain deal to feed lots of grain, right? They're going to have a 2% grain deal to feed lots of quail. Keep them from being total inbred. You can get a 2% deal, right? They did Bob White for this one. They're trying, right? So they're trying to get a 2% deal. People are trying, right? They're welcoming offers, right? But they said they're up here. Get together, have thinking like I'm just gonna rob you and steal you and not pay for stuff. They're like at Chop Out Hunger trying to rob people. So they're trying to rob people, attack them. They rob so much gold from people in the mental ward. They're like raising filthy pigs. They're like raising filthy pigs to raise people in prison. That's what they're doing. They're like raising like predators to raise their family in prison. That's what they're doing. They're filling people's thoughts up. They're bringing in people to be depraved lunatics being predators raised in prison. They want their job in jail. Like supporting breeds of vicious fucking felons instead of raising quail. So they're trying to raise this prison culture. They're trying to be cool. So they're trying to be cool with forcing you to listen to filthy, violent pigs that you'd never want to know, forcing their views on you. They're trying to write all these books to make it cool. They're trying to make people listen to what a filthy, vicious felon they are, raising filthy pigs, raising their kids in prison. So they're vicious felons raising their kids in prison. They try to make it cool, acceptable. They try to make it cool, make everything about prison and raise your family in jail. That's what they are. Trying to fill people's thoughts with being a vicious felon raising your family in jail. So the army was supposed to be dignified gentlemen, right? They tried. This is what they're trying. See, the army is trying to be a gentleman. They're trying to be polite and gentle. The army's trying to be a great guy. Have people kill each other like they're supposed to, right? Mano a mano, manly fights. They're trying, right? Army's supposed to be a great guy. They try. They like the army, right? Then they try to make everything about raising kids in prison and raising vicious felons. No, the army raising kids in jail, they don't really win. See, people raising your kids in jail don't really win in the army, okay? The army has to be a great guy. So the army has to raise quail to feed the army, keep them fed, because they can't really raise them in prison. People try to demoralize your troops and raise them in prison and incite like filthy pig stuff, fill their thoughts with bad thoughts. See, the army would act out in a group, but you have to keep their morale up with quail, fancy parties. Then we have Pioneers trying to get your 2% deal to have parties and Merry Christmas. You have to keep the troops rallied. They don't do good. Demoralizing your troops with your filthy pig shit. It really doesn't do much for your army. They said they really had to be a great guy. They said they really think they have to be a great guy, but you really demoralize the troops with your filthy pig shit. No, they're just trying to demoralize you and raise your family. You don't really win, okay? So your filthy pig shit, where you're trying to demoralize the troops with your filthy pig shit, raising people in prison. Well, if you really come here to start shit, they're gonna lose when you raise your kids in jail. Okay, demoralizes your troops. That's what they're plotting to do. They're trying to demoralize you and raise your kids in prison. That's kind of the plan. Okay, I said the army has to be a great guy. You fill up the world with your filthy pig shit where you try to make it cool, raise your family in prison. Then you try to demoralize the troops. Trying to, right? See, Quail in his city is decent people. Black people like this stuff. You can talk to black people about this stuff. They're okay with it, but then they were like they're slaves and stuff. That's what we're talking about. Is they're kind of slaves they are. Black people would discuss it because they still cannot acknowledge it all. So you don't acknowledge black people who took like all this gold from their country, right? You don't really want their voodoo around, but really demoralizing your troops.